We've got YouTube going for faith-led healing and faith-led living. I've got my special access community directly in front of me. So it is another glorious day here in North Idaho. If I didn't have to use all this equipment, I'd be outside right now. Yesterday, I mean, we've had rainy, dreary, nasty weather all winter long. And it was like damp and miserable and cold, icy, snowy, ugly. And yesterday was scheduled to be 68 degrees. They're never right. It was 70. Today's supposed to be 70. My dogs and I camped out on our front porch all day yesterday. I was schooling and working out there as much as I could. And as soon as we're done here, and my breath work actually may be outside today because I only need one piece of equipment for that. So it's gorgeous. And I am solar powered as my home. And when there's sunshine, I am in it. Good morning, Miss Robin. Good morning. It's good to have you on here. How are you feeling, sweet friend? So, Miss Laura, how are you doing this morning? Get in the chat. Let me know. How are you guys doing? Where are you joining from? Today's conversation is stemmed from what is happening in my life. I was really thinking about it yesterday. You know, we really ought to be recording a short video every day because you just can't make up the things that happen on a day-to-day basis. And I'm also not showing the full picture. Fabulous. She says 2 days, no migraine. Living life. Hello, joining from Minnesota. Very awesome. Welcome. I'm glad to have you. So there's just so much happening, and we're not glorifying God by not posting a short video every day on YouTube. Seriously. Because God is just moving mightily in our lives. And I know a lot of people, I have a lot of clients that they believe in God, they seek God, they trust God, though when the rubber meets the road and things don't go exactly how they anticipate, they get very disappointed, they get very disgruntled, they get very upset. Some, even hit places of great anxiety and depression and maybe even fear of the future, and just frustrated because their prayers aren't being answered. And let me just say, I can totally relate to all of that. I never got mad at Papa, but I did struggle with, wanting my timing versus his timing. That took a long time to settle into. It was through my healing journey. My healing journey was the most transformative part of my life. There were other parts that were very transformative too. And they aided in progressing me to the place that I am today. All of our struggles do. And I began to transition, through my experiences to this place. But I have to share what I've learned, where I'm at, how I got here, because living out of this space that I can say we now live out of, my whole family lives out of this space. And it was through my healing journey that we all transitioned. Rex, welcome. How have you been? It has been a long time. Yes, it has. I'm glad to have you on here joining. That's pretty awesome. Very awesome. Remind me where you're joining from again. I forget where you were from. I'm thinking across the pond, if I'm not mistaken. Very awesome. Welcome. So it's super important that we understand the difference. Oh, Wisconsin now. Was in North Dakota. Okay, for some reason I was thinking you were across the pond. We've got a lot of people across the pond. I'm not seeing Mr. Keith yet, but he'll probably join in. We've got New Zealand. We've got Germany. I was breathing with a woman from London on Saturday for my free breathwork session. So you've got to know the difference between expectation and joyful anticipation. And I want you to think about our terminology. I talk about this a lot. I'm a perpetually positive person. Wow, say that fast. The 3 Ps. Anyway, I'm also very peculiar. Let's add 4. Before I jump into that, let me just read this. Praises for a good day yesterday. I fixed my sewing machine and achieved a few small hemming projects. Also managed to clean the kitchen. Still feeling okay. Today I'm tired, but praising my new joyous Snoopy mug. Very good. Exactly. Simple pleasures and praises for wins. We've got to praise our wins, whether how big or how small. You've got to praise your wins. You've got to concentrate on your wins. Good morning, Miss Laura. So I got to remember the 4 P's, Laura. That was good. Perpetually positive, peculiar person. There we go. I got it all wrapped up in one. Okay. Anyway, Laura knows my peculiarness more than anybody. Well, I shouldn't say that. My husband does. But anyway, that's a whole other story. So anyway, I want to share just a little story on something that happened to me. I am very positive. I focus very strongly on keeping positive terminology. And I said to somebody that I was fighting forward. And she said, "Oh, you've got to change your wording. That's really negative." And I'm like, because I'm moving forward. But the word fighting was not helping me. I needed to be winning forward. So I want you to think about the difference between expectation and joyful anticipation. What do you think about when you think of someone else's expectations of you? Not your expectations of something else. But that has a negative connotation to it. And it's important that we realize those things do matter. And I don't want to be expecting anything, because if we get a vision of exactly what we're expecting and it doesn't come through the way we desire, most people are disappointed. Where with joyful expectation, you have dreams, you have desires, you do have visions, but joyful expectation is where you are looking at allowing Papa to unravel it his way. Therefore, you don't really have an idea exactly what that's going to look like. It's like a kid in a candy store and they unbox new candy, or waiting for Christmas. And I say it this way all the time, that's what my days are like. Every day is like another day of anticipating Christmas. And anticipating goodness. And I want you guys to start thinking about that and the importance of living out of that space. Because it's not, I've been told I live life through pink shady glasses. And maybe I do. I see the good in everything. People, things. I joyfully anticipate what's around the next corner. I embrace the rope swing hanging on the tree and swing out and let go into the river fully clothed. I don't miss opportunities. When they are presented to me, I embrace them. And I do it with joyful anticipation. When we are living out of expectation, we've got blinders on. We are seeking exactly what we want, how we want it, when we want it, and we're missing what's happening around us. And then we're disappointed at the end result, because God's timing is always going to be different than ours. And we've got to think about that. For some people, that's a real struggle. For me, I know that his timing is going to land me in one of the most beautiful places, better than I could have ever created, better than I could have ever imagined, better than I could have ever planned for. And what I'm going to share next is a perfect example. So last week I slightly shared about this, not this Saturday, but the Saturday before. The mountain man and I got a letter in the mail. For those of you that are joining and we haven't connected in a while, we have fully dove in to embracing a life in Alaska. We started this last year. This has been a dream for a very long time. For the mountain man since he was like 7. We both grew up in the woods. I am the epitome of tomboy. When you look in the dictionary, my face is next to it along with the peculiar person. I grew up climbing trees. I was in the creek fishing and swimming and catching crawdads and just in the woods all the time, as was he. And, you know, we're not getting any younger. 15 years ago, if we knew the mountain boy could have handled the jump into complete wilderness setting deep in, we would have done that 15 years ago. But we landed here in Idaho. Papa opened the doors here mightily. There was purpose for us here. And last year we found a parcel in Alaska. We put an offer in. They accepted it. This was like in May or June. And we were under contract with them until December 31st. It was all contingent upon this property here in Idaho selling. So, you know, we've been with joyful anticipation of what Papa's going to do, but I want you to know that we were prayerfully seeking him, asking him to guide us, to give us wisdom, knowledge, direction, and discernment to make our path clear. His will, not ours. And for many people, that's really hard too. But we learned the hard way that when we're not walking in Papa's will, it's either going to be one of two things. Either really miserable, or it's prolonging us from what we're called to be doing and where we're supposed to be. And we all want that. We all want to be in his will, chasing his desires, because it's going to be better than our own. So the letter in the mail on Saturday said that, and we were praying that that property would remain open and we would get the perfect buyer, that Papa would take care of all of that. So we weren't really worried about it. But we got a letter in the mail Saturday from the realtor in Alaska telling us that the property went under contract for a cash offer and is sold. Pretty much sold. I haven't heard otherwise. And we got half of our earnest money back. So that right there is 2 praises. Now, the average man would look at that, be on their knees, be crying, be mad, be totally disheveled. We both went, and we were a little directionless for about 4 hours, a little numb, not, you know, because it's just like, okay, gears have changed, direction has changed, so, you know, it was a surprise. But immediately upon reading that, we prayed and we praised. Why? Because he made it clear that that's not for us. It was gorgeous. It had a 60-plus acre lake right off the front porch of the property. It was surrounded by state wilderness. It was absolutely in the middle of nowhere. River access, snow machine access. It was really beautiful. If we would have gotten there, we would have had to do a bunch of building to get us all set up. But it was gorgeous. There was a cabin there, new cabin. So no mold, perfect for me. We praised. It wasn't for us. Now here's the other kicker on that. So imagine, because when Papa takes you away from one thing and takes you to something else, it's always better. In our experience, it is always better. So, wow, how can we be ending up somewhere that's better than that? Like, that's hard to wrap your head around. For us, it was. If you look at my podcast image, that is the front porch of that property. I was willing our dream into fruition. But Papa made clear it's not. So we praised. And we certainly praised the half of our earnest money coming back, because they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to do that at all. So that was a gift to us. So thank you, Papa. Thank you, Papa. Now, Sunday we started searching again, regrouped, started searching, found a beautiful place. Really beautiful. Completely set up with everything we would need, all the outbuildings, everything, and then some. Mountain Boy would have his own space. It would be within the same main house, but so we would eventually need to build him a cabin somewhere. But we would get out there and for the first time in 15 years, be able to just play. A 3-hour trip down the river with all of our material things. Play. As my husband put it the other day, because I'm like, wow, I can't wrap my head around that 3-hour drive down the river. You know, not that I was scared, not that it's a bad thing. It's just like, wow, 3-hour drive down a river. Like, I've never done that before. That's awesome. And he says, what else do we have to do? I'm like, wow, what a spin on that. It's like, yeah, let's do it. Not that I wasn't already, let's do it, do it. But that really, that's what I'm saying. My positivity has become contagious and they throw it back at me. And it's amazing. It's amazing. So, found a couple places. The other thing the mountain man said, which I think was really, it was funny, but also very directional for us and really fit in with what we do. I just got done saying we can go and we can play somewhere and just play. Check out the river, go up all the, the smaller streams and the different paths off the river. I know that's not right, but it's not coming to me. Anyway, go climb the mountains, go shoot ptarmigan, get ready to hunt our moose, all these things we can just go do. We can pan for gold. We can do whatever we want to do. He says we could buy other parcels, out and among lakes and different places, build cabins and flip them. I'm like, you just can't stop, can you? But that is a really great idea. Land is a good investment, and a lot of people are seeking that escape, that place to get away to. And the mountain man is a masterful cabin builder. And we are just his grunts. We do play a role. We can say that our sweat, blood, and tears went into it, but he is the mastermind. It all is up here. Nothing is, he puts stuff on paper, but it all transitions from here. And a lot of times what was on paper is never what ends up happening. It's funny. I have all of those papers from all of our builds, and we laugh every time we look at them. So dreaming is vital. But I want you to work out of a place of joyful anticipation rather than expectation. Expectation is just, it's so miserable. And, really it is. Because I remember when I transitioned from expectation, and I remember the day I was walking with the woman that was helping me with my web design business at the time when I was on the farm, Miss Julie. She's a doll, and she spoke life into me that day. I was having expectations regarding a subject. And she said to me, have you ever considered removing expectation and just letting God do? She goes, expectation leads to disappointment. No, never considered that. Not even a little, no. But that stuck. And, I want you also to not only be looking at joyful anticipation, but be willing to change. If I would have heard that and just ignored it, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be doing all these crazy things. Had a major life change in the past several months, and am hoping for a place of my own. Well, we will pray for that, Rex. That's awesome. Awesome that you are wanting a home of your own. I am sorry that you had a situation. However, those situations always have purpose, and those situations always make us who we are to become. So, hard as they are, look for the lessons to be learned. Thank you. The change was for the better. Okay, very awesome. There's always purpose. I want you guys to trust that too. There is purpose in everything. Hard, but for the better. Absolutely. Well, and that's, that's exactly what I'm saying. There is truly purpose in everything that happens if we are willing to look past the expectation and disappointment in it and understand that there are lessons to be learned, there is growth to be had, there is a better place to be taken to, and there is a new version of you that's going to blossom. And let me tell you, I love who I've become. Not that I was a terrible person before, but refinement is beautiful. It truly, truly, truly is beautiful. And if you've been following me for a while here, last summer, I was asking, yes, foolishly, the peculiar person that I am. And I don't feel it's so foolish, but many will. I was asking Papa to break me because I want it to be all of him and none of me. Because then I'm refined and then I'm fine-tuned. And that happens sometimes right before we leave this earth, because we are always growing, we are always maturing. If we are willing. Let me rephrase that. If we are willing, because I know people that go to their death and fought it the whole way and never changed, never cared to change, and live life miserably through miserable lenses. I don't want to be that person. I want to live life joyfully every day. Rex says true. Yeah. I want to live life joyfully. I want to live life by my terms. That is why we are here. But if I'm living life by my terms, then I need to be open to what life has to bring for me. Otherwise, I'm missing out on it. It's no different than, living life by our terms can be pretty rigid if our eyes aren't open and the blinders aren't off. Because we, again, are so set on, living life a certain way that we're missing the changes that occur and the things that come. And we might be missing the things that go along with just being joyful, that came because I just think of some people that I've come across that, they're so hardcore on being prepared for themselves and fighting what the world dictates, which I do in a lot of ways. But they're so hardcore at using that word, fighting all those things. And they're so worried about being prepared for the future that they're not living out the day. So, that suddenly came to me. So I'm like kind of putting this all together as I'm sharing this with you. But, we've got to trust Papa with our lives. He knows how many hairs are on our head. He takes care of the birds that don't have a shelter and feeds them and provides for them. Why wouldn't he take really good care of us? If we are open to him and we are seeking him and we are connected with him and doing the best we can, which is all we can do, he is going to take care of our needs. He is going to take care of our needs. And there's a lot of people out there that don't know him at all. Yet he still takes care of them. He's still there. They just don't know it. That relationship is so important. And if you do not have that connection, I want to encourage you to create it, because we are all worthy because he says we are. We are all loved because he loves us deeply, even though we may not have a connection with him. He died on the cross so that we could have life now and through eternity. And he did that because he loves us, each and every one of us. Though it's up to us to accept that. And some people don't. And that's okay. But I want to encourage you to do it. Because honestly, I can't imagine my life any other way. I can't imagine a life without him. And for those of you that may not know this, the medical system laughed at me 9 years ago. When I went in seeking aid because I knew that I was dying. I felt it. I felt it deeply. everything was beginning to fail. And I went to the medical system and they laughed at me. And that's what took me so long to go to begin with, because that's what I anticipated. That wasn't really a joyful anticipation, but that was just our system's failing anticipation. And that was 9 years ago, and we see what it is today. Got home and God diagnosed me. God made it clear. Next night, 1:30 in the morning, sat straight up like a corpse. I will never forget it. You see it in the movies, but I felt it, and I will never forget it. Was prompted to search. Kept searching everything that I felt prompted to search for. Everything brought up the same doctor. The only doctor in the United States that knew how to do an explant and had a detox protocol in place. My mom wanted me to go here locally. I called a place in Washington. Let me tell you, had I gone to them, I wouldn't have left the table. What they were doing was wrong, and they would have killed me. I know that. I know that wholeheartedly. I know God led me to her. She disappeared off the face of the earth 2 years into my journey with her. She knew too much. Say no more. You can connect the dots. God led me strategically to everything I needed to gain my health and my healing. And then he led me to school and become an integrative health practitioner so that I could be for other people what I didn't have. God is in it all. God led me and guided me and showed me. He loves me. He shows me that every day. He loves you too. He shows you that every day too. You're just not in tune with it. You may not be seeing it. Trust what he has for you. Trust his timing. Trust his timing. It took me 9 years to heal, by the way. But it was a very slow progression, and it was a very nurturing progression because he continued to heal me, show me, lead me, guide me, and gave me the knowledge to know how to help other people. Not only do I have the knowledge, but I now have the empathy and the understanding of where they are, and I can meet them where they are. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. And then I schooled and I saw how strategically God led me. And I still have all of my notes from all of my research. Thank you to Evernote. And I can look back at that and see that I gained just enough from my research to move me forward. It was too much. I couldn't even hold a conversation at the time. Imagine that, right? I couldn't. As soon as you'd ask me a question, I'd open my mouth to answer you, and I couldn't even remember what you were asking me. And for years, if you look back at some of our videos, you know, Laura has played the game with me for a very long time, filling in the blanks, because there were times when I would go live and I would get in that brain foggy place and I would lose my thinking, I would lose my thoughts. I do it still on occasion, especially if I'm schooling really hard. My brain gets taxed. God's in it all. Don't question that. Don't question that. And look at life through the right lenses. And if you're not sure if you are or you aren't, is it positive thinking, movement, action, or is it negative? Because if it's negative and you catch yourself, and this is a trick, all you've got to do is pay attention to how you're thinking. If you are not thinking through things well and you're doing it negatively, flip it to something positive. Just like I did. My example to you this morning was I was fighting forward. No, I'm winning forward. And you guys are doing the same. You know, when I look back through my life, all I see is God's hand moving me forward. I went through a lot of hellacious things. But I'm here, and I'm renewed, and I've grown. That's all he wants to do. He is the potter, we are the clay. And I really want to encourage you to be open to his molding hand, his guiding hand. It's powerful, guys, it's powerful. So, I don't know if I shared this or not, but Saturday, Friday afternoon, late afternoon, early evening, I suddenly had to shift gears to show the property on Saturday. I am now joyfully anticipating an offer. Will it come? Is she the perfect person? I don't know. I'm not even thinking about it. I mean, it's there, but it's like, it's not controlling me. I'm like excited. I'm like excited to see what he's going to do. And let me just share this with you. So everything happens for a reason. Whether our encounter Saturday showing the property, and let me tell you this too, it rained all last week. It rained all Friday night into about 10 o'clock in the morning. No, about 8 o'clock in the morning Saturday. Dump buckets, white rain, terrible. Guess what happens at 10 o'clock when I go to show the property? About 9 o'clock, the skies start opening. 10 o'clock, it's a gorgeous sunny day. We had mud up to our eyeballs while we were hiking the property, but it was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. Surprise? No. Here's another thing. Many of you know that the mountain boy was high-functioning autistic. Mountain boy is now my podcast co-host. Let me just share this with you. How did that happen? I have no idea. I was getting ready to record podcasts. I had the mics in my hand and the phone in my hand, and the boy walks in the door. And I say to him, hey, you want to join me on a podcast? You want to record with me? It wasn't a thought. It wasn't even a consideration. Haven't talked about it. And he goes, yeah. We weren't talking about autism. We weren't talking about anything. We just sat down and we did the show I had scheduled in my head, and it was really fun. It was really cool. But get this. Rex says that was really cool. So that's stuck. I'm like, that was really fun. He's like, yeah, it was. I'm like, you want to keep joining me? He's like, yeah, I do. I walk away. I'm just like, I still keep thinking about that. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about it last week, and I'm like, where are we headed? You know, I'm going to have guests on that are going to have some uncomfortable conversations on the health realm for, you know, a guy sitting there with me, but he's an adult male, and he's into this. We have such a good time. And if you watch them on YouTube, you see our dynamics. And I've been enjoying editing them, watching our dynamics. We have good dynamics. It's a lot of fun. We have our moments, but for the most part, what you see is normal. And he's helping me in the business. But here's the thing. The realtor that joined us got picked on as a kid. He had an IEP in school. He had a speech impediment. And he became the local principal for 25 years. And he was sharing some of the stories. He absolutely did not tolerate bullying. He nurtured and inspired the special education unit of the school to do unique things. They actually ran businesses. They ran 3 businesses, and they raised money. And that money was to go to scholarships for the special needs unit for college. Gonna cry. The special needs kids did not think that that was fair. And they opened this up to the whole school. I see my son's eyes lighting up. This guy says to Austin, he says, what's your license plate? It's BTA. Bigger than autism is the boy's business. And what he intends to use to nurture the autistic community and share his experience and his knowledge and how he's overcome. As I'm talking to the lady looking at the property, I have no idea. I heard the realtor say to Austin, you really ought to speak in classrooms and encourage students And I heard him say that, and then the lady started asking me questions, and we went aside. I had no idea until the very end when they left that he was grooming Austin and giving Austin absolutely everything he needed to prepare to speak in classrooms. And this man gave us his card, wants to keep in touch. This is the kind of person I could see, even though he's no longer a principal, lining things up to get this kid in a classroom. And now, full circle, why is he doing the podcast with me? To help groom him to speak. Do you guys see how God shows up? It's so stinking amazing. Yeah, exactly. Rex says, wow, that's amazing. It is amazing. And we have these kinds of encounters all the time. It's like God just moving us forward, showing us what we need to see. It's so stinking amazing. And that's what I'm saying. The average person misses all of this because they're mad because things didn't go the way they wanted them to go. If I always anticipated everything to go the way I wanted it to go, I would not encounter all of these amazing things. And I'm telling you, you just can't make this stuff up. Seriously, you just can't make this stuff up. That's what I'm saying. I'm really almost contemplating just a quick video every day, 15 minutes, to share with you the crazy stuff that's going on here right now. Like, you just can't make this stuff up. And it's just so amazing. I'm sorry. My nose is running because my eyes were leaking. So, you know, that was implanted. What did I do before these people left my property? I prayed over them. I asked them if I could pray for them. And I prayed over them. She needed like some heavy prayers. She's gone through a healing journey. Praying she becomes a client. Very, very similar minded, very into the same things. And it was just very amazing. So don't miss out on what God is doing in your lives. Don't miss out on the opportunities. Don't be so rigid. And don't think that you're all that you can't be changed and that you can't see things differently. Because let me tell you, you know, I was hardcore. I had to fight through life. I was picked on as a kid. That started in my own home. I had to overcome a lot of low self-esteem and just a lot. And I had to fight for my existence. I had to fight with the neighborhood boys to protect myself. I had to fight in school with some of the guys to protect myself. And let me tell you, oh, I don't know if I should share that. It almost came out. I had a black kid in our class, and color doesn't matter, but you'll understand why I'm saying this, because I have a lot of black friends. I have a lot of beautiful friends. But this kid jumped on me when we were outside in high school, on my chest and on my stomach. I could have died if he twisted things inside. And I was livid. And when we went back into the classroom, I was fuming. I went in that room and I grabbed that man and he turned white. And he never touched me again. So I imagine you can figure out where I grabbed him. Wasn't very ladylike, but it got the point across. And that's the kind of person I had to be through my entire life into my 20s. I was hardcore. I had to protect myself, and I didn't think twice about it. So God can change us. It's not that, you know, protecting ourselves is a bad thing, but I don't have to live so rigid, and I don't have to live so tough that I'm that tough that I won't let him mold me. I want to be molded. I want to be shaped. I want to be grown. I want to be a better person than I was yesterday. And that's the only level of comparison we should have on ourselves. not comparing ourselves to others, just are we a better version of who we are today than I was yesterday? So this was a lot of stuff, but don't miss God's hand in your life. And, you know, I do believe even with what I just shared with you, that God was in that. God gave me the courage and strength to protect myself so that I could move through that season, so that I could be to this season. You know, that may not have been the most appropriate thing to do, but it got the point across, and I never was touched or hit or anything after that. And of course, you know that traveled through the school, so no one else touched me either. So, you know, God's in it all, through the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, if you listen back on a couple weeks, we have 2 vehicles. I kid you not. They were in the shop 8 times each throughout the month. That was the enemy fighting the path I'm on. He can fight all he wants. God keeps providing to cover the costs. Thank the Lord for that. Half my earnest money back. See? That just came full circle. Did you see that, Laura? The light bulb went on. So there, I mean, there's proof in the pudding. I didn't even have to like, So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. YouTube, I am going to jump off of here. Rex, it was amazing to chat with you today. Keeping you in prayer, my friend. And I can see a bunch of you online there joining me on the other channel. Thank you guys for joining. Keith, you are in the house. You are in the house. He says, greetings from New Zealand. What is the plan if the Alaska Highway gets closed? We're not doing the Alaska Highway anyway. We are doing the ferry. And we are heading in. So, Rex says, thanks so much. See you next time. Have a wonderful day. Yes, you as well. I'm on every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on both Trayer Wilderness and Faith-Led Living, Faith-Led Healing. And get in my community, faithledhealing.com/community. Good morning, Mr. David. Mr. David is joining from Africa. We got Africa. We got New Zealand in the house. How awesome is that? I love it. I love it. And I wish I could see David smile. David has got the greatest smile. I have never seen a smile that lights up the world like David's. And let me tell you, that lights me up. And join me in my special access. I am here face to face with Laura in front of me on Zoom as well. And you guys can join my special access and do this as well. Because as I jump off of here, I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes privately with Laura and my other special access community. I usually have more people joining, but they messaged today and said they couldn't join. But get in the special access. Live in life. Thank you. You have no idea how relevant this talk was today. I would love to know your name if you're willing to share quick before I end things. I'm really grateful you're here, and I'm glad it was relevant, and I have no reservations on that. I'm not surprised by that at all, because Papa leads and guides every week. I have no idea what I'm going to say until I get on here, and then look what happens. And then you get some real personal stuff from me too that pops out every once in a while. That was not one of my better moments, but maybe somebody needed to hear that too, because we do need to protect ourselves. Christians aren't wimps. Alyssa, okay. All right, fantastic. Well, I am glad you are on here. Thank you so much. Keep joining us. Get in our community. I want to get to know all you guys. Getting in my community is really valuable to me, because then I get a chance to know you. You guys get to listen to me yammer, but I don't get to meet you guys when I'm on YouTube. So join my community. All right, I'm going to jump off of YouTube. I love you all. Have a great day. Let all of this sink in. Re-listen to it, because this is important stuff. This is how you transition from where I was to where I am now, and living life happily. What you see now is what you get all the time. I am perpetually happy. Why? Because I am joyfully anticipating the next corner. So I love you guys. God bless.